Sometimes I drive 5 miles over the speed limit, but if the Purge were real, I'd totally bump that up to 10. The Purge, Anarchy is the second in what is sure to be a continuing horror franchise where the U.S. government suspends all law for one night a year. The sequel is tied to the first only by being in the same conceptual universe, giving the filmmakers the freedom to make a new movie with new stories. But does that freedom result in a better product than last year's silly and over-the-top offering? Yeah, I actually think it does. And that's the beauty of a conceptual franchise, right? If the concept is interesting, and by the way, I think this one really is, every new look into that universe has a chance to do its own thing. And I liked quite a bit about what they did with this one, especially compared to the original. First, I felt like this one was almost an action movie disguised as a horror flick. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still grisly and gory, but at least it's starting to move towards the idea that there's a decent enough concept here that if you tell a good story, you don't have to amp up all the carnage to keep people interested. Plus, and let's call this the best thing, there's actually an emotionally resonant message here about the difference between morality and legality, and a reminder that right and wrong don't come from a governmental body, whether they're telling you you can't do something or even that you can. Of course, where right and wrong actually do come from is a much longer conversation for another time, but suffice to say, it ain't from Uncle Sam. And I love the way that especially the conclusion of this movie dealt with that idea. Still, at the end of the day, Anarchy is still a pretty mediocre film effort, and it doesn't quite have the technical chops to back up its intentions. There's nothing truly inventive here in the way this is put together, and the actors all feel like they're just barely competent enough to keep us from rolling our eyes at the line readings. Plus, I think the movie goes out of its way too much to show us the various ways people use the Purge, forcing our characters into silly situations so that we can see a new idea. But the worst thing is still that so much of the logic of this universe just doesn't make sense when you really stop and think about it. The government's reason for the Purge is ludicrous and self-defeating. People's obedience of the guidelines of the Purge seems far-fetched and impossible to manage. If I disable someone's protection before the Purge so I can kill them during the Purge, does that mean I can still be charged with attempted murder for my actions outside the Purge window? My point is, if you want to enjoy this film, you'll probably need to institute your own 2-hour purge of the laws of logic to do so. At the end of the day, the Purge Anarchy has some pretty interesting things to say about morality and government in a story that is more cohesive and engaging than the first. Still, the overall quality and faulty foundational logic leave it trying to survive with a B-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. You can stay tuned for this review's best ever challenge here in a bit. First, I want you to click on some stuff that I'm going to put up over here, like if you want to subscribe, which I'd very much appreciate. You can do that by clicking the big gray subscribe button. If you want to see more, well, you can also click to see my reviews of Begin Again, Sex Tape, and Planes, Fire and Rescue that also came out this week. You can also click the logo right up here to go to the all-new YourMovieFriend.com, where you can find a searchable database of reviews, as well as the written text of these videos. And finally, this review's best ever challenge. Now, this is where you name the best movie ever in a particular category and also try to identify what my choice is. What is the best survival movie ever? Mine would probably be the one with a cringe-inducing use for a pocket knife. Drop your own answer and a guess at mine in the comments, and the first person to guess mine does get a point. Thanks, and please subscribe.